For the Friend Zone, we invite someone from within the building here at Fox to join us. With us tonight is the legendary Bill O'Reilly. He's been hosting The Factor for more than 20 years. He's also found time to write an entire shelf of books, a bookmobile, really. He just released his 24th. It's called Old School, Life in the Same Lane. Bill O'Reilly joins us now. Bill, I think I'm the only one who's interviewed about this book who's actually read it, and I really liked it. I'm not just saying that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Tucker.
Smart.
You know, you're an erudite guy, and I figured you'd dive right into it, and it spoke to you, I bet.
Well, it did, and I thought it was, I'm always won over by humor. I thought parts of this were actually hilarious. But just to explain quickly the difference, what you're trying to do is to help people understand the difference between old school and snowflake. What does that mean, and how do you tell?
Well, it's a philosophy of life. And those of us who were raised in traditional homes, as I was, we adopted, many of us, old school. I don't like the word values because that says that people who aren't old school don't have good values, and that's not what I'm getting at. All right? It's a point of view. It's a point of view. And the point of view is there are certain things that you do and certain things that you don't do. Whereby the snowflake culture that has risen dramatically in America in the last 5 years, they see life in a totally different way. So in old school, we spell out the traditional old school point of view, POV, as opposed to the snowflake POV. And then you know who you are, which one you are. And which one are you, Carlson?
Well, I hope I'm not a snowflake. But reading this, I'm thinking, some of these were really interesting. Some were, ones you would have guessed. Others weren't. So here's one that really stuck out. You know you're a snowflake if every single day, from the moment you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, you find something to be outraged about it, and it's all unforgivable. And I thought, that's not just liberals who are like that, actually. This cuts across the lines.
There are a lot of people who are conservatives who are like that as well. So it doesn't go down. It doesn't go down with your politics. Politics doesn't mean you're an old school or you're a snowflake. It crosses boundaries. One of the interesting things is I wrote this book with a guy named Bruce Fierstein, and Fierstein and I were on the Boston University newspaper, the Daily Free Press. He lives in L.A., all right? He's an old school guy, as I am, but he's a different kind of old school guy. I say that we go to the same school, but we take different buses. And so he's got a little bit of a different take on this whole thing. And I wanted that because, again, there's a whole bunch of subtleties involved in this philosophy.
So reading this, one of the things that kept coming back was just how annoying some of these attitudes are. And I thought to myself, well, how do we get here? Do you think the country being really rich for 100 years has contributed to this?
I think there's a softness that have come into the culture, and that I write about my father. My father's one of the stars of the book because he's the ultimate old school guy, and that he suffered through the Depression, and then he went to World War II, and that toughens you up.
Yeah.
And then since the Vietnam War, we've had a volunteer army, so that the military is still tough. But a lot of we Americans are soft, and we're full of entitlements. You got to give me this, you owe me this, and that's the snowflake culture.
Yeah.
That the world owes you stuff. The government owes you this, and you'll never prosper under that. I feel bad for the snowflakes because sooner or later they're going to crash land in a puddle. And they're not going to be able to get out. They're going to dissolve. And that's what I'm trying to get across is if you're a snowflake and you're committed to that, at least read old school because there's stuff in there that will help you.
So one last thing that kind of surprised me, Billy Joel, you hold up as someone you grew up with, same age, same town. You hold him up as an example of someone who's old school. I would not have guessed that.
I know, and the others, I'm not going to tell you who the others are, that we have as good examples of old school folks are surprising as well. The reason is that Joel did it by himself. He didn't have a great family, dropped out of high school. He did all the wrong things. But he's an old school guy because he believed in himself and his talent, and he developed the talent. All right, he worked and worked and worked, and then he broke through. Yeah. And he's still an old school guy. I don't hang with him every night, but I see him occasionally. And we talk about the old neighborhood. I've known him since I'm 12, all right? And he's still the same kind of guy. And that's old school. So that's why I included Billy Joel in the book.
You definitely made me like him more. I will say that.
You what?
You know the name of the book, Old School? It's good. I liked it. Thanks a lot, Bill O'Reilly.
All right, Tucker. Thanks for having me in.